everyone, Niklsun here, and welcome to Coming Soon Movie News with Niklsun. I'm your host, and on this show, every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, we'll be going over all of the day's movie news, as well as going over what it means for the production in general, such as casting decisions, trailer announcements, director announcements, things like that. So, without any further ado, let's get started with today's Hot Topics. This first topic that we have to talk about today is Brad Bird's upcoming film, Tomorrowland. We now have our first trailer of the film, and it really kind of gives us a sense of what the tone of the movie is going to be, what to kind of expect from it. And up until this point, I don't think a lot of people really knew what to expect from this film. So the one thing that this trailer promises that we're going to get, first off, before I even mention anything, I got to mention how amazing of a teaser trailer this is. This is the definition of a teaser. I remember there being event trailers that used to come out where it would be, whether or not it would be just a short 60-second clip or whatever the case may be, but just really setting up this world and just teasing everybody to saying, this is what's coming, and getting very excited about it without saying a lot about it. Like, I think the first teaser trailer for The Lost World Jurassic Park was just lightning flashes with storm clouds, and it was something has survived. And then you just see the T-Rex foot stomp into the mud and then step out, and it says The Lost World Jurassic Park. And that's all it was. And that just lets people know that it's coming. It's an announcement trailer of sorts. And that's what I got from this, because right at the beginning you see her, you know, the police officer is giving her back all of the stuff when she was arrested that she had on her person, so her money or her, you know, a pack of lifesavers or something like that, some change, and then this pin. And so she's putting everything back, and she looks at the pin and goes, this isn't mine. And the guy's just walking away and goes, what's not yours? Like, just kind of shrugging it off. And then she touches it, and immediately, as soon as she touches it, the environment around her changes instantly. And she immediately lets go of it. She gets freaked out, and she lets go of it, and she immediately zooms back. It was one of the most incredible effects I've ever seen, because it's seamless. I've been watching this over and over again, trying to figure out which shot was blue screen. Or were they both? You know, and I think they must have both been. Unless somehow they managed to both be on location. And if that's the case, that's just unbelievable, because that means that Britt Robertson is a phenomenal actress. So she's able to mimic exactly even her facial mannerisms down to a T. That's just incredible. But she then just looks around, and then you see the Disney theme or the Disney logo come up, and just the sound, the musical score by Michael Giacchino. It's everything about it is just so welcoming and so full of awe and wonder. I can't wait for this film, because there's a couple other things I wanted to talk about. One, if you look closely, now I'm going to be kind of breaking down the footage here, but if you look really closely at the police officer, when he's going through everything, he's touching every single piece that she had out of the bag. Like, he empties the bag down, he's like, here's a money clip, here's lifesavers, here's this hat or whatever it is, but he points to the pin. He just points to it, and he goes, a pin, and then he grabs whatever this is and tosses it back at her, and she's grabbing everything, putting it in her pockets, and then she goes, that's not mine, and he just kind of goes, meh. I'm maybe just reading too much into it, but I wonder if he is kind of a part of it, if he's working for Hugh Laurie's character, because Hugh Laurie is said to be the villain of the film, although we still don't know anything about that. But I mean, just that fact alone, like, there's so much mystery even in this little snippet of a teaser trailer. And I mean, that very ending shot where she's standing on the overpass and you see the guy in the rocket ship just come up, or the jetpack come up and fly over with this futuristic city around. Like, I'm on board. Absolutely, I'm on board. This movie just sounds so cool. But at New York Comic Con, which is where they premiered this trailer, it then premiered online right after. But they also showed some other clips. And actually, sorry, just one extended clip. But it's basically a major impressive action sequence that they showed with George Clooney. Because so the main storyline is that George Clooney is like, he was this boy genius who kind of faded into obscurity. And he now kind of lives in I don't know if it's a house or if it's a trailer or whatever the case may be. But in his house, she basically goes up, knocks on the door. He has like these sonic repulsor things that end up knocking her back, and she's in pain, and he leaves her there on his doorstep. And then what happened? Oh, booby trap goes off on his property, and it's like a tractor that just catches on fire and starts heading towards the house. Well, he comes outside with this modified fire extinguisher and turns the entire tractor into a block of ice. While he's doing that, she breaks into his house and uses the same sonic things against him. Kind of a, a fun little comedic thing. And then he ends up getting back into his house through a secret entrance, and more perimeter alarms and booby traps start going off around, and he goes, "You led them here, or they followed you." And he pushes a button and his entire house goes on lockdown. All these like brick walls and all these massive blast doors and stuff like that start coming down. All these booby traps start turning on, and apparently there's big lasers involved. But you see all of these would appear to be strange looking people. They're all very clean cut, very kind of doll looking, and like just very, very perfect, almost very plastic. And you realize then that after these booby traps start going off, they're actually robots, and they are very reminiscent of the animatronic figures at the actual Tomorrowland event, or ride, I should say, at Disneyland. So I mean, they're still tying in elements of that ride and of that segment of the theme park. And then they end up getting it, like things start getting blown up left, right, and center. He's sending off all these lasers and all these bombs and stuff like that. And then they get into his old-fashioned bathtub. The bathtub turns into a rocket ship and flies away and gets them out of there. And that's the end of the footage. I mean, color me intrigued. I am 100% on board with this. This just sounds so fun and imaginative and just, like I said earlier, full of awe and wonder. I cannot wait for this movie. It was originally supposed to come out in December, but they pushed it back to May 22nd of 2015. So we still got a few more months left, but definitely, I got a link to the trailer in the description of this video below, so definitely go and check it out, because it doesn't show much, but what it does show is just, you want more from it. It just sucks you right in, and it's the perfect definition of a teaser trailer. I'm so on board with this movie. I cannot wait for it. It's going to be opening up May 22nd, so if we get more information about this topic, I will definitely update you guys on here. Now, I've talked before about this topic and about how I'm not very happy about it, but it looks as though it's officially happening, so I felt the need to report about it on here. It looks like the new version of Ghostbusters is moving full steam ahead with director Paul Feig, the director of such movies as The Heat and Bridesmaids. It will be a complete reboot. They are not doing a Ghostbusters 3. It's not a continuation. It's not going to fit within the world of the first two movies. And the main reason that they're doing that, at least what Paul Feig says, is he wants it to be a world where the events of the first two movies never happened, where this world has never seen this kind of event before, and it's all going to be new and fresh. It will have an all-female cast, which is where I have the biggest problem, and I'll get into that in a minute. I've already touched on it in another video, but I'll get into that in a minute. Apparently, this one will be scarier. It'll be dealing more closely with horror elements. Apparently, he and the writer of The Heat, who he's brought on, they are obsessed with finding horror comedy, with finding that fine line. And that's apparently where they're trying to take this film. That, to me, is a cool way of looking at it, absolutely. But the fact that, and this is the reason why I have a problem with it. I wouldn't have a problem with it if this was the first Ghostbusters that we had ever seen. If they had never done the movies in the 80s, and this was the first Ghostbusters they were doing, and they said this is going to be an all-female cast, awesome, that's cool. The fact that they are just completely flipping what the original was. It was an all-male cast to an all-female cast. That, to me, is a gimmick. I don't care what way you swing it. Yes, if they are all the right talented people for the characters that they write, then absolutely I'm on board, 100%. But I am never one to favor writing something specifically for a gender or a race or whatever the case may be. You write it with as little specificity as you can in terms of, unless the character description requires it, unless it's a deep part of the character states that they grew up in the very urban section of New York City or Los Angeles or Atlanta. At that point, I could say, okay, maybe it would lean better to the story if the main character was of a minority, because of like the story that we're trying to tell, the character points that we're trying to hit. lend themselves to be more credible and more believable if they are somebody of this descent. At that point, that I understand. But coming out and saying, and this is what really irked me, because Paul Feig came out in an interview and he said that he really is only interested in doing movies with female casts. And that to me means he's got tunnel vision. That's like Michael Bay saying, I will only do movies with special effects. I will only do movies with special effects, which is not the case. I mean, look at Pain and Gain. He didn't do special effects in that. I mean, if there were, they were very, very minimal because it was a character story. But it's the exact, or Steven Spielberg saying, I'm only going to do World War II movies. Like, to me, you're pigeonholing yourself, because understandable. It's your career. You want to make those decisions. Absolutely. You have every right to do so. I'm not trying to take that away. My problem is that you're taking a franchise now that has shown that there is very little support for this. There is not a lot of people out there who want another version. There are a lot of people out there who cherish the original, but they don't want another one. Leave it alone. Like, it doesn't need to be done. Yet Sony, with the problems that they're having, they're looking for a franchise in whatever direction they can go. But bringing somebody in to only do it as a female comedy, that to me is just stupid. Like, to me, that's just dumb. That's a gimmick. That is something just to get, I mean, it kind of goes against the business model, but it's just to get people in the seats for that opening weekend, and that's it. Now, depending on the cast, this, like I said earlier, this could work. My only problem with it, guaranteed they're going to get Melissa McCarthy. And especially after Tammy and after the last couple of movies that she's been in, I'm done with her shtick. She's more Zach Galifianakis than Zach Galifianakis was. She only has one shtick when it comes to comedy. She can do drama. She's a great dramatic actress. Do not get me wrong there. But when it comes to the comedy, at least the comedy that we've been shown, she can only do one. And she's currently doing, Paul Feig is currently doing, I think it's now called Susan Cooper, but it was called Spy, with her and Jason Statham. I'm interested in seeing that, and that may win me over depending on what he's able to do with that film. But that's another movie with Melissa McCarthy where if she's doing the same thing, then no, I don't want to see her in a Ghostbusters movie, because she's going to be the de facto Bill Murray. And they've already come out and said that they are not going to be rehashing the original characters. These are going to be new characters. So, I say again, why are they doing this? To me, it's a stupid decision to do it this way. I mean, Ghostbusters 3 has been having such a long and torturous road to production that to me now it's just like, okay, well, we've had enough of Dan Aykroyd going out in the press and saying, we're going to do this and we're going to do this and we're going to do that we're just going to reboot the whole thing. I understand that. I understand that from a business point. Absolutely. But bringing someone in who says he only has interest in doing films with female casts, well, you all, I don't want that film. I don't want that film. I'm sorry. If it was, like I said, if it was, mostly women and a man, or, half men, half women, or mostly men and a woman, or all men, or anything like that. Like, if it was just a remake of the original and they brought in a woman or two, absolutely. Or if they made 3 of them women and 1 of them a man, that'd be fine. I'm not talking about misogyny or anything like that. I'm talking about the actual gimmick of the marketing ploy that this is going to be. And that's all it is. It is not a vehicle for Amy Poehler and Tina Fey and any of the great female comedians that they're going to get for this film. It's going to be a gimmick. It's going to be saying, hey, you know what? We need to have more women in film, so let's put them in this movie. And oh, watch, it'll be terrible. And it's not going to be terrible because it's all women. It's just because that's just what happens when they do this. When they come out with a gimmick. Look at what happened with female action heroes back in the mid-2000s. What did we get? We got Tomb Raider, we got Elektra, and we got Aeon Flux. And Ultraviolet. All horrible movies. All because they wanted just a female lead. That was all it was. They just wanted a female lead. And go and do it. And they were all terrible. And it was not because they were female driven. It was because that gimmick caused the screenwriters and the producers and the directors to panic. And they had no way of figuring out an actual story outside of just, it's going to be a female action hero. We need this movie out by this date. Write it. And they're like, bad special effects, jumps up on wall, kicks across, bad special effects. Like, it just seems like they are so desperate to get a franchise, they're willing to do anything. They're willing to take any answer. My biggest problem, again, and I keep coming back to this, is Paul Feig saying in an interview, I only want to work with female casts. No. No, I personally am against that, because that's pigeonholing yourself. That's saying you're only going to tell one story, and if it doesn't fit that mold, you're not interested. That's not a filmmaker. That's not somebody who's open to telling stories just to tell stories. That's somebody who is out to play up a gimmick, to make a name for himself in a marketing ploy, and that's it. And you know what? Unfortunately, in my personal opinion, I think it's going to backfire. I really do. I kind of hope that it does, because I don't want this movie to be made. I don't think it should be made. I mean, maybe later on it could be a complete and utter... I mean, it all depends on what we see. When we start seeing footage from it, it may appear to be different. But on paper, from everything that we've gotten right now, this to me is a horrible decision. I am not behind this whatsoever. I think this is a stupid decision. But who knows? They may end up knocking it out of the park. But as it stands right now, this to me is just a stupid decision. Anyway, if we do get more information about this to clear things up, or we start getting production stills or the first official cast announcements or anything like that, then I will definitely update you guys on here. Well, we now have an official release date for the third upcoming film adaptation of the Da Vinci Code series from Dan Brown. A lot of people thought it was going to be The Lost Symbol, but they're actually just skipping over that, and they're going right to Inferno, which... I mean, I've only read Da Vinci Code. I haven't read Angels and Demons, and I haven't read Lost Temple or Lost Symbol, or Inferno. But everything that I've garnered from online, receptions from it and everything like that, Inferno is a much stronger book. It's got a much stronger story to tell, and it starts off really cool too, because it kind of starts off like the Bourne Identity, where he wakes up in a hospital, he has amnesia, he doesn't know where he is, he doesn't know who he is, anything like that, and then slowly throughout the movie he starts to regain all of his memories. Well, it looks as though that movie was originally scheduled for December 18th, 2015. There's a small movie opening up that weekend as well. I don't know if they were too worried about it. It's a little film called Star Wars Episode 7. A lot of people are saying that that's why they're moving. I don't believe that's the case, because the December 18th, 2015 release date was set a while ago. Production on the film wasn't even supposed to start until April of 2015, which means if they start filming in April and it's, let's say, a 2.5 month shoot, which it will most likely be at least 2 months. So that takes it into June. Well, that only gives them about 6 months to fully, or 5 months actually, because they have to have the picture locked about 3 weeks before the film's supposed to release. So that only gives them about 5 months to go through and complete post-production, which is way too short. I mean, the only film that I can think of that actually successfully completed that would be, I mean, War of the Worlds was very close. They finished filming that in November and it released in June. But Ocean's 12, I think Ocean's 12 had that filming schedule. I think they filmed in April. They started filming in April and the movie was released in December. But look back on that film. A lot of it was shot on digital, like HD or DV cameras. Like, just look at the quality of some of that production. I didn't like Ocean's 12 all that much because to me it looked like a student film. But anyway, Tom Hanks right now, because they can't film until April, this is the reason why. Tom Hanks right now is filming the Cold War drama. It's an untitled Cold War drama with Steven Spielberg. It's going to be their 4th collaboration. Ron Howard right now is finishing up post-production on In the Heart of the Sea, which is the real life story of kind of the inspiration for Moby Dick, starring Chris Hemsworth. That movie's going to come out March 13th, 2015. So he's going to be busy with the press tour for that film. And then he's going to start filming on Inferno to release it in October of 2016. This is going to give them a lot of time to complete it. I'm actually really looking forward to this. I'm one of the few people who really liked Da Vinci Code, the movie. I found it intriguing. And again, I'm not one of those people who, I don't read the book before I see the movie. I read the book after I've seen the movie to see what things they could have added in, how well the story actually took the main sections from that novel and made it into a movie. You know, I look for all that kind of stuff. So I really did enjoy Da Vinci Code. I thought Angels and Demons was a little bit faster paced movie, but I enjoyed Da Vinci Code a little bit more. There was more mystery involved with it, and I think that's where we're going to get to with Inferno, because it's dealing with Dante's Inferno. It's dealing with that famous poem. And yeah, I'm very excited about it. You know, I really enjoy kind of conspiracy theories. I enjoy historical documentation, whether or not it's fictional or non-fictional. I just really like that world, the idea that this could be happening in the real world. I'm fascinated by that. It's a what if scenario, and I love what if scenarios. So this movie right now is scheduled for October 14th, 2016. So far, the only cast member is Tom Hanks attached to it, but Ron Howard is returning to direct. When we get more casting information or other information about this topic, though, I will definitely update you guys on here. Well, that'll about do it for us here on Coming Soon Movie News with Niklsun. Thank you so much for watching. You guys have been a great audience. Go ahead and click the subscribe button there in the bottom corner. You can get updates whenever we post a new video. You can also find me on Twitter at Niklsun, Niklsun, for all of your movie updates. And you can also give us a like on our Facebook page at facebook.com/Movie News with Niklsun. If you guys have a topic or a question you'd like to have discussed on the show, you can go ahead and put a comment in the comment section, or you can email us at movienewswithniklsun, Niklsun, @gmail.com, and we'll try to get to them on every Friday episode. And until next time, you guys enjoy the rest of your day. Take care.